First things first, gentlemen. How are you?
We're good, thank you. How are
Yeah,
you?
cheers.
I'm not too bad at all. Not too bad at all. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with me. Now, before we delve into Repercussions, the new single coming out tomorrow, and other things, I would like to jump back to the beginning a little bit. Now, for either of you, as you were growing up, when did kind of music become a prominent part of your life?
Oh, for me, it was probably around the age of, I don't know, 13, 14, something like that. And, it's always around music. And, the house had a record player and vinyls and CDs and all that sort of stuff. And, your parents would have CDs in the car and you'd get into music sort of that way. But it became prominent at probably around 13, 14 when started messing around with guitars or bass or drums and stuff like that and play at the music rooms at school. And then I think I bought my first bass when I was 14. And at
Okay.
that point, you kind of committed to the path, then, aren't you? Really, at that point.
And for you,
That's a
Adam?
bit of a boring answer, but it's pretty much exactly the same answer, really. It was around sort of I think I was probably about 15 or something when I first started playing guitar. Um, but yeah, music sort of featured in my life from being pretty young, really. Interestingly, the sort of music taste of my parents and my grandparents are radically different, really, than what we do.
Mm,
One was big into like funk and disco. My dad was very much he just like singers, like people who were just really good at singing. He liked like simply red and
right.
people. So yeah, pretty much the same boring answer, I'm afraid. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but at that age, 14, 15, I mean, how much of an influence is the whole Manchester music kind of history, or because there's such a rich culture of music, I believe in that part of the world. So, how much
Yeah.
of that played a part in what you do?
I don't think any more than anything else, really.
No, it, it's not one of them where it's like it's the only thing that influenced us or something like not really, because I remember around the sort of time I was getting into playing music, the the music magazines in the UK were much more heavily focused on what was coming from across the Atlantic in the
Okay.
East Coast and in the kind of like that New York explosion. And when I started playing, I was listening to the Strokes and yeahs and Interpol and Rapture and things like that we were being told these are the new Ramones, these people wearing leather jackets and suits and stuff. This is the new thing. And obviously there was a big sort of indie revival. I think the Manchester thing is sometimes actually something where you've kind of we I've always, you can't escape it. But it wasn't
Right.
like grew up in Manchester. We only listened to Joy Division, The Smiths, New Order, a certain ratio, and Oasis. It
Sure,
wasn't really.
sure.
I think over time, I've probably actually gone back and become more interested and almost re-educated myself about things
Mm,
like,
Yeah.
factory record stuff or all that kind of thing. Really, of course, it's an influence, and you can't really ever get away from it. But I probably took more of an interest later down the line than at the time of learning to play guitar.
Yeah. I mean, for me, you think about some of my sort of music heroes or whatever, or bands that I liked when I was growing up or learning to play guitar. I was like Echo and the Bunnymen. Um, they're from Liverpool. Gang of Four, they're from Leeds. Clash, they're from London. I liked a lot of that sort of no wavy stuff that came out of Scotland as well.
mm,
So it's like not really. I really like Joy Division. I used to. I say I used to like the Smiths. I still like the Smiths, but I used to really like the Smiths, and just sort of got a bit bored of it. Obviously, really like New Order.
Mm.
Um, some of them old factory bands are fantastic as well. It's yeah, I don't know. You can't really escape where you grow up from, can you? And I'm not actually from Manchester, from Stockport, so
oh, fair enough.
it's not far from Manchester, but yeah, I'm not technically from Manchester.
Initially, it was the three of you, if I'm not mistaken. So what were those initial sessions like, kind of trying to figure out what you wanted to convey in music?
Easy, really, because um, we've actually tried to start Ist Ist, not knowing that's what we were trying to do, three times. There was a I tried to start it with Joel, the drummer, and another guy who was just mates with Joel, and it just didn't work. And then me and Andy joined with a friend of ours called Owen and started a band called Privy Council, and quite a few of the Privy Council songs ended up being rehashed for earlier Ist Ist songs anyway.
Okay.
And we knew Joel from way back when we were in. Me and Andy used to be in a band years ago called the Casinos. I mean, going back 20 years, but like, so we already knew how each other played, and I've been playing with Andy, if you like, for 15 years probably, maybe longer. So it's not really a stretch. It's once we got in the room, it was one of them where we already sort of had a very good idea of what it was going to sound like before we even started playing.
Yeah, there was never any discussion going, okay, this is the sort of, I mean, what we were doing in the early days, there was some crossover, but some of it was a lot more raucous, a lot punkier, really, in a sense. And, you know, there's certain virtues of being a three-piece, and there's certain limitations of it, really.
Sure.
And when we went to the point of becoming a four-piece, that was because I think you were very much at like the fork in the road where you're going, we can either do that or we can do this. And you kind of had a decision to make, and you're going, you're going to go down the path. Like, do you want to carry on being the sort of three-piece limited by that and sort of maybe emboldened by it? Or do we want to bring someone else in who can flesh this out, frees you up to not have to sing and play guitar all the way through every song or whatever?
That's it. I mean, if you... there is some like proper band historians out there who'll remember like some of the early shows. We did actually try and use a synth on stage where I'd play it and sing it and sing at the same time, but that meant that I couldn't play guitar as well. And I've always been into synthesizers and always wanted to incorporate that into it, but didn't want to lose the guitar out of it. You know, so I think that it was sort of around that time when we realized that it would be really nice to have a synth player, because at the time we were completely against using any sort of like backing track or samples or anything. Because like Andy was saying a minute ago, we were very sort of like punky, raucousy type. And it was sort of like over our dead bodies would we have NSPD, you know?
Yeah, we were. Our view on that was we want it to be played live, and it's not necessarily the case now. And we're fully sort of like advocates of putting elements on backing tracks and stuff like that. But at that point, we were going, we want to play these songs fully live, and where we were getting to, we just couldn't do that as a three-piece. Really, it just wasn't possible to do it.
We wouldn't even use guitar pedals back then.
No, we weren't even using pedals. It was like just turn the gain up on your amp if you wanted it to sound a bit better. Yeah, pretty primitive, really. Yeah.
No, but it's really cool. It's cool then to see that development from where you started and where you are now. So for you yourself, obviously adding a keyboard player or somebody who can play the synth is a big part. But if you just look back at the first couple of albums that you've released and compare it to what you've been up to this past year or year and a half, how different is it? Is it pretty much the same, but just with different sonic elements, or is the whole approach kind of been overhauled?
I think the first three albums, the approach was largely the same in terms of demoing and recording and getting the album out there. I think the first three were very similar. On this upcoming album, quite different, really, to be honest with you. We spent a lot more time demoing. We sort of got a lot better equipment as well for us to be able to almost not record studio quality, but the demoing process became a lot more detailed, and we were sort of properly mixing the demos. And then it wasn't just a reference sort of thing. We were like, let's really almost try and get these songs to a point where they're ready to go in the studio, and then working with a new producer as well. So that changes things. One of the things is that as well that has changed is that we're full time on this now. This is our job, and we've had so much more time to spend writing, demoing, pre-production, recording, mixing. We've had 10, 20 more, times available, really, to sort of really dig down into it. And with this album, I don't think we've left anything on the table. I don't think. Whereas previous records, I think we've said, haven't we? You don't regret the records that you do, but there is an element of looking back, going, wish we'd spent a bit more time on this, but we didn't have the time to. We were all working day jobs, so we didn't have the time to just go and redo tracks, and we had to get them albums out, really.
Yeah, I remember reading an interview, and I think it's you, Andy, who said everything that you were earning, and this was around the debut album, but everything you were earning was being put back into the band and everything. So it's really awesome to hear that you've now been able to kind of live off the music a little bit and have that extra time to work on it.
Yeah, it just takes time, doesn't
it? The other day saying that we literally never took a single penny out of the band for 9 years.
No,
not a single penny.
No. We didn't pay ourselves. We didn't take money out. Everything went back into recording, touring, whatever, merch, records, equipment. We saw that as, it's not. You're creating. We run our own label. Got out. We're sat in our own studio and it's like, if we were just going, let's all have 50 quid because we got paid 150 or 200 quid or what, whether we're a 3-piece or 4-piece, let's all just have 50 quid instead. You wouldn't have got anywhere because we looked at that as, no, let's get some more CDs pressed that we can sell on the merch desk. Let's go
hire a lighting engineer so that the show looks better. Or
right.
Or whatever, just reinvesting in it all the time. And I think that's why we've done so well.
But I think that's a very mature way of thinking. I don't know when this kind of ethos arrived in the band, but when you're 18, it's difficult to think that way, I suppose.
Yeah. When we were 18 and we were playing, we either weren't getting paid, or if we were getting paid, you just go and buy a load of pints afterwards. There was nothing to reinvest into, though. What's about that?
No,
we didn't sell T-shirts, we didn't have CDs, nothing like that. We just didn't do that. But I think the fact that when we started this band, we were older, and we are older now, and we didn't have the desire to do the whole let's get paid 50 quid so we can go and get pissed afterwards. That's not sort of said from day one with this band. We had more discussions about what we wanted to achieve as a band than what we wanted to sound like. And, the first rule was no shit gigs, wasn't it? We said no shit gigs.
We've only ever played one shit gig.
Yeah.
And we were tricked into it. So, and I'm not going to say what it was. It was one gig where we went, and it was absolutely horrendous. Like
the sound engineer,
we shouldn't have played. We should. In reality, we should have just left.
Yeah,
but we just did it anyway. I think we played to about 3 people maximum.
Okay, one was your wife and sister.
Yeah, my wife and sister-in-law and father-in-law and the sound man. That was it.
Yeah, I think the sound engineer went out halfway through as well.
Yeah, halfway through. Yeah. It was horrendous. Yeah, no shit gigs. And what you've got to remember as well is that we'd all been in bands before, so it wasn't our first rodeo. So we'd seen where it had gone wrong before. And it's like, if we really want to do this and we really want to have enough money to be able to make an EP, then we're going to have to save it all. Like, what can we do to that? Well, we'll get paid this for that gig, and we'll sell some CDs when we're there, and like some demos, and we'll record them as best we can with, in the practice room, and we'll put them out as a limited CD, and hopefully people will think, oh, it might be a collector's item one day. And turns out we were absolutely right, and we didn't know that at the time. Yeah. And now it's just built. It's built from there, really. I think you just got to be sensible. It's difficult. It's a difficult line of work to be in.
Sure. There's no handouts. People might get signed. They might get advances, but you owe it back to the label. There's no handouts, and we weren't really prepared to sit around and wait for someone to offer us a deal or offer us an advance or whatever. We just was like, well, we're just going to do this ourselves, and that's what we've always done. We've always had that mentality, really, that we can do this ourselves.
That's cool to hear.
We have a manager, we have a booking agent, have a team who work on it, but they're completely independent. They're not, it's not for a major label or anything. So we have a team of people. but at the same time, it's, you know, we're not signed to anyone. We own all our rights ourselves. We can repress our records when we want. We can release we want. We own all that, and
we don't owe anyone anything. That's the thing.
No,
we don't owe anybody anything at all, which is great. A lot of these record deals these days are getting more and more in the favor of the label, and I suppose business is business. And I really want to comment on that because it's not, well, saying business again, but it's none of my business really what other people take. But from what I've seen of it, I wouldn't sign to a major label. Absolutely not. Why would I? I mean, everything that they do, we can pretty much do for ourselves and are doing, you know. So it's, I mean, it's just a whole different way of doing it. And we're just totally, like Andy said before, it's just reinvestment all the time. Yeah, we're full time now. But a lot of money that we make, it gets reinvested into this. We've built us called KVR Studios, and we have 8 rooms here where we have other bands that come and rehearse here. And we have bands that rehearse here that have been on tour with us, like Rude Films, Midnight Gallery in the UK. You know, there's a few others that have joined us recently, and it's good. It's like we're getting a little community hub together, sort of thing, if you like. So
that's awesome.
7 others, but we're reinvesting in that, and we spend a lot of time building ourselves there as well. So I think the days of being a rock star and sitting around doing drugs and playing your guitar all day are pretty much over. We have a pretty big schedule, and we run it like a business. And the gig bit of it that everybody thinks is like the testing bit, that's like our day off, really. That's the fun.
That's the fun bit. That's it. That's not the hard work. That playing gigs is like, yes, we're playing
it's like,
you finally get to play.
We don't have to build or do our accounts or you know, record little videos for Instagram or whatever else, you know, all the other million things that we do, you know.
Yeah. No, but I love that because kind of betting on yourself rather than relying on some entity to show you the way or whatever. I think that's really great. But it obviously it has to start with the music, and people have to find something in it. So over the years, and especially I think here in the Netherlands, you do quite well as well. So what do you think people hear in the music that you make?
It's hard to definitely know. Maybe I should just ask people over in Netherlands, like, why do you like?
I was going to say, we're the best of asking you that question, because we don't know why in the Netherlands like it so much. No idea.
I feel like this sort of genre does well in Europe. It just has, whatever reason, it has historically done well in mainland Europe, and it continues. You know, you look at a band, someone like, say, Editors, for example. You know, they play big shows in the UK, but then they'll go and play an arena in Amsterdam or something like that. You know, so there's almost an acceptance of the genre maybe more in Netherlands or Germany or Belgium or whatever than there is somewhere else. I don't know for certain. I know that the one of the radio stations, Kink FM, really got behind us during COVID and played one of the songs. First album quite a lot, and it kind of snowballed from there, really. And we first played in the Netherlands in 2020. We played a festival called 2022. Sorry, played a festival called Vestra, but our tour was already on sale at the time, and we were playing fairly small cap shows. And we thought it'd be great if we go over there and 50-60 people turn up, and they all sold out in like days. You know, we played on a boat in Rotterdam, and it sold out in a minute, and we were like, shit, like we didn't it's one of them where we just didn't understand it at the time because we'd never really been out there, and it's just kind of snowballed, right?
Well, so someone says to you, do you want to play on a boat in Rotterdam? I've never been to Rotterdam. Never been, don't know anyone from there. And you say, well, yeah, that sounds amazing. How many people can it fit in? And they say 150 or whatever it is, 100 and something. And you think, oh, it'll be awful though if we get there and there's no one there. Because I've never don't know anyone from Rotterdam. No. Why would we? It's
not like we've got loads of friends to over there, is it? We don't.
No, we might have a couple of mates who fly over because it's a fun weekend or whatever. And then to get a phone call a few minutes later to say, oh, it's sold out there. Do you want another one at Roadtown, like the night after or whatever? Yeah. And we're saying, well, what's that? And they said, oh, it's a 250 cap venue. It's like, so we've gone from, I don't think anyone's going to turn up, to 400 people buying a ticket within minutes. And it's like, so you see why we don't really fully understand it, because it just happens quick. And then the next time we go, our booking agent or whatever says to us, I don't think you can play here again, it's too small.
Yeah.
And and this is within,
within 2 years, that.
Yeah, what was it, 18 months or something?
Yeah.
And they're saying, we'll put you in a big room in Nijmegen. There's going to be 1,000 plus there, and we're thinking we'll never sell that, and it's sold out. And then now it's going bigger and bigger and bigger and all that. But I think to sort of answer your question really simply, I think the only thing that I've ever come to think about what people see in our sounds, I just think it's honest.
Well,
I just
that's.
think really
Sorry to
honest.
interrupt, but the word that I had in my mind was sincerity. So yeah, continue.
I think that's a good point.
I think people just, I mean, we're not trying to be anything that we're not. I've always sang like this, wrote lyrics like that. Andy's always played bass like that. We're just doing what we do, and it's obviously fantastic that places in Europe or places far away are interested in it just as much as they are in, say, Manchester, like you talked before about the heritage of Manchester and everything. I don't know.
I think this. Oh, sorry, Andy. Just very quickly, I think the sincerity combined with the somewhat grassroots kind of word of mouth type promotion, where I mean, obviously there's Instagram and TikTok and whatever these days, but I think half those people don't go to gigs, or the vast majority of those people won't go to gigs. Where if you tell your friend, "Hey, I've discovered this new cool band. They're coming to Rotterdam. Do you want to come?" I mean, that's kind of the way a lot of those things work, right?
We get people coming up saying that, going, "Oh, it's my first time," and they're there with the mate. They come to the merch desk, go out, and they're going, someone will go, "Oh, that was fucking fantastic," and you're like, "Oh, thank you," and then his mates there going, "Told you they were good." And the word of mouth thing absolutely is still. There's no better promo for a band than someone vouching for you.
Right.
Yeah. You can do your TikToks, you can do your Instagram reels, you can pay for advertising. Nothing is more valuable for a band than someone else telling their friend or telling another person, you need to go and watch this band. Because social media world is just saturated, and it's like he who shouts the loudest kind of thing, and everyone's sort of pick me, pick us, come and watch us, watch our reel, listen to our new song on Spotify. Everyone's competing for that, and it's something you've got to do, but you're all just shouting into the abyss, aren't you, really?
Right.
Whereas if someone says, I saw this band last night in Nijmegen, tell you what, next time they come to Netherlands, we've got to go and watch them. Yeah. And then you turn up and you play somewhere like Paradiso or like Oostpoort or something in Groningen, and it has snowballed and it has sort of doubled. And I think some of it is the word of mouth, and I think maybe there's just a more. I think there might be a more honest gig going culture in somewhere like the Netherlands as well. If we're talking about sincerity and honesty and stuff, I feel like there's I don't know, just a sort of an old school vibe there in a good way, where I think you might get in the UK. There might be a bit more of curiosity of, saw this band on TikTok, so I might go and watch them and see what the fuss is around. Whereas like Netherlands, I don't know. I think they know what they like and they'll stick with you if they like it. I think they're quite loyal as well, really.
Yeah. No, I think I would agree. The only thing I don't like about the Dutch music going public is they talk a lot. They talk through shows a lot.
I did an interview with someone after the Nijmegen show on the phone for a regional newspaper there, and the term he used, he called it the Dutch disease. He calls it. I don't know if that's and do you know what? I've only ever noticed it at one show in the Netherlands. It was the first time we played Amsterdam. We did Melkweg upstairs, and I remember it being pretty chatty then. But I've never known it really. Maybe your standards are a lot higher and just a little bit of chat. I tell you, sometimes in the UK, some of the audience in the UK are fucking bad for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think some of this is a post-COVID thing, and people were deprived of, social events and socializing.
Yeah, just going out.
Yeah, they were deprived of that for a year, 18 months. So I think once lockdowns ceased and people could go back out to events, they were using those events as a catch-up. And they were using going to a show as meeting up with friends who they've not seen for 12 months in person. So it was like, right, yeah, we'll go to the Ist Ist show. There's 10 of us going who we've not been out for 12 months because of COVID. So that, you know, you're just kind of the entertainment for the evening. We're going to have a chat about what you've been up to and how's your wife and, you know, how's your daughter? You know, did you get much gardening done during COVID? And people are chatting about that, but it's not really ever subsided. I think you say the Netherlands is bad, but I'll tell you, UK is probably worse for that.
Okay.
You get used to it, but I'd rather they didn't. You know?
Yeah. No, that's my one gripe. I think, like you say, I think we do have a very, very healthy, especially live music culture here. But that's one thing, and I just remember gigs where, especially when some gigs, it fits when it's energetic and loud and stuff. But if you have these quiet songs and people are just talking in the background, it's just so annoying. But anyways, I do want to mention or get into kind of what have you been up to lately, very, very quickly. So tomorrow, Repercussions will come out, new single. The premise of that song I find very fascinating, to be able to express yourself completely without repercussions. How did that topic kind of pop into the band's mind?
Leave that to you.
It's very nosy of you. I don't know. It's one of them. It's I write little stories in my head when I'm writing lyrics sometimes that are like little mini films or whatever, and I write a lot from other people's perspectives. Especially the last album, not the new one, the one before that, Protagonist. So literally the title was because each song was a different protagonist, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think with the Repercussions one, I think I've been watching a revenge film. I can't remember the name of it now. And it was like, you know, like a vigilante type thing. And I think it just stuck in my head of I wonder, you know, like this guy's thinking, what would I do if there was no repercussions, or he didn't care about the repercussions of his actions, or that sort of thing. You know, it's I don't know, a lot of it I can't 100% remember writing, because it's I sort of like I write that much that I tend to take bits from different bits, and I can't 100% remember where that bit came from, because I might have some verses and then all of a sudden I'll get an idea for a chorus and I can't write a verse for it or whatever, and I'll go back through and find something from a few months back or even years back, you know, and then think, oh, does that fit with the sort of narrative of what I'm writing? And then, yeah, so that's the...
You like consult the book, don't you?
Yeah.
It's like
consult the book, yeah.
When we're in writing, we'll like be playing something and you'll be like, one second. Flip through the book and
find
a good verse for this.
That'll do, yeah.
Loads of parts in the... I've never looked in the book. I don't want to...
You don't want to look.
That's not my world.
You don't want to look.
I did want to ask Andy, is there, and I was thinking maybe about the 3 singles been released so far, or including the one tomorrow, but do you have a favorite line or a favorite bit of lyric that Adam wrote?
I actually really like the one from The Kiss, which is I was willing but unable to light a bigger fire. And that's where the album title came from. And when we were demoing it or rehearsing it or whatever, after the song, we both said, didn't we? Said, I think there's an album title there. And you go, go on. Yeah. Which one was it? And you know, no, you go first. It was like, light a bigger fire. And you went, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I really like that line. And I like what they want in Repercussions on fix your gaze to mine, don't look directly at the sun. I just think it's a cool, for no other reason, I just think it's a cool bit of phrasing or whatever. I just quite like that. Yeah, I probably have more favorite lyrical parts than I do instrumentation. Like I kind of like the instrumentation's a given, and I'm not a lyric writer, so I think maybe I appreciate lyrics more because I can't do that.
My favorite's "Keep the Fuck Away from Me."
Is that in there? Yeah. There's a song called "Hope to Love." I
don't think I've ever sworn. I've never done a swear word on a song before, and this it's unavoidable on this song.
Yeah.
You'll hear it when the album comes out. But yeah, it's keep the fuck away from me.
You were told explicitly to keep the fuck away from us. In fact, that's a really good one.
That's a good line.
You were told,
That's a good
you were
line.
told explicitly to keep the fuck away from me.
It's really good.
Because I was going to say keep ever away from me, but it's like, it doesn't really.
Yeah, it doesn't. Nah, just
yeah. Again, honesty and sincerity. Sometimes language has to be that way, I think.
Yeah.
I could have one of them explicit lyric stickers on the album, like
advisory.
Dr. Dre used to have.
Something like some street cred.
Yeah.
That line, "Light a Bigger Fire," which will be the title of the album. What does that represent to you guys as a band? Because I also saw another interview. I don't know, it was with either of you. I don't remember which one. But you mentioned that the band was, but the band was constantly growing, and you felt like you've been knocking at the door for a while now, and that this is the best thing you've ever done, and then kind of hopefully this will push it over the edge. So this title of "Light a Bigger Fire" and kind of what this album could mean. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think
you've just covered it, really.
I think it's just doing things bigger. But it sounds like a very obvious album title, but it's taken from a lyric, and it's maybe, I don't think it's a crass album title or anything, but it is about doing things bigger and better. Everything that we're doing grows every time. When we talk about like the going back to the Netherlands and all of a sudden there's more people, the shows are getting bigger, the tours are getting longer, the crowds are bigger. The production element of the album is up a level than what previous albums were. Everything's just multiplying, really, and I think it's just a sort of a nod to that, really.
But then on the flip side as well, fire's dangerous, isn't it? So it's like, because we've got a lot, if you like, emotionally, financially, time, family, that's all sort of riding on us doing well, isn't it? Because we all had decent jobs before, and we decided to quit them to light a bigger fire. It's the fire aspect's dangerous, and lighting a big one is dangerous, but necessary and exciting, isn't it? So yeah, we just thought it was a good album. Plus it's good, isn't it? Plus you can make your album all red and orange,
fiery and red.
Fire, that's right. Exciting, isn't it?
Nice album cover,
yeah. Picture of a fire on the front, obviously. Yeah.
Right. No, but I think that's that whole idea of quitting your job and pursuing something that you really believe in, and then putting all your eggs in that basket and just going for it. I think that's really inspirational.
No, thank you.
However, one of the things that does concern me is if we get like a review and it's like, Ist Ist go down in flames.
You open yourself up for a lot of wordplay.
There's so many easy wordplays that could absolutely roast us. That's the one.
It's this extinguish their aspiration. This new album. Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah. Happy thoughts. It's all going to be all right. So, gentlemen, may I thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me, and I hope everything, goes well. When can we expect the album? Has there been a finalized date yet, or do you
20th of September?
Okay,
20th of September it's out.
So perfect.
Not too long. I think the last time, not that I'm counting, I think it was something like 101 days or something like that to go. Something. Yeah.